understand it. That's the only years you have any type of, I don't know, innocence. Because by 6th, they're going to criminalize you, or somebody will call you a name at school, and then you'll realize that you're black. And then that's when you realize that, oh, life is going to be really different. I mean, the parents of black children, I mean, a lot of them have talked about, in interviews, there's a lot of black parents that speak to this idea that, that moment where you have to explain to your child what racism is a tough one. And then often what will happen is this conversation with white parents where they're, if there's a story in the news. I remember when the story about Jussie Smollett was first in the news, when we didn't know any of the other pieces of the story. And again, like, I don't even want to get into the details of that story. But when you first heard the story and you were like, wow, that sounds really bad, I remember somebody asking me, a white woman asked me, like, what about, how we're going to talk to the kids about this? Do you think, like, this is the kind of topic that, is too hard for us to discuss with our children? What's your opinion about that? And I was like, well, I'm not a mother, but I did grow up as a black child. And I actually did not get an option for my mom to not talk to me about racism because I was experiencing it. So little white children, their parents get to protect them and to shield them from this reality and say, oh, that seems too hard to talk about. We don't want to talk about George Floyd with our white children because we don't want to ruin their innocence. We don't want to, talk to them about these serious issues. That's going to be too hard. What do you think the black children and the black parents are doing? They don't get an option. They don't get the privilege of deciding whether or not they're going to talk to their children about racism. They have to talk to their children about racism so that their children can survive America, so they don't get killed. They need to be aware of racism and the biases that they're going to experience as black children because it's life or death for them. So it's cute that you're like, oh, my little white children, I'm so nervous. I don't want to talk to them about racism. That's a hard topic. No, you get to choose to talk to your kids about racism. Imagine that privilege. Yeah. So don't look at your children as, so delicate and special that you don't talk to them about this. You need to talk to your children about this because that's how we get the status quo. Because too many white parents think it's an option. Oh, well, I don't want to talk to my children about that. That's too hard. You have to.
Yeah. And by protecting and by trying to shield your children from racism, your white children from racism, what you're actually doing is leaving children of color more vulnerable to your children's inherent and inevitable future biases and prejudice. Yeah. So you're protecting one child while leaving the rest of the world's children vulnerable